Coming up tonight, 6 Jamaican men being questioned by police in that $2.5 million drug bust in Andros could face a judge before the end of the week. Plus, the 11 counts of unlawful sex with a now pregnant teen that's landed a 20-year-old man behind bars. And later on the job, the story of 50 new differently abled hires joining the public service. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Berthany McDermott. New tonight, police are questioning 6 men in connection with that $2.5 million drug bust in North Andros over the weekend. Sources confirming to our news that the 6 Jamaican men are being interviewed by Drug Enforcement Unit officers. The men, ages 52, 53, 42, 39, and 43 years old, were arrested following the discovery of 4 acres of suspected marijuana plants. The fields, found in forests near the Bahamas Agriculture and Research Center community, consisted of over 25,000 plants ranging in height from 1 foot to 8 feet. There were also 20,000 seedlings in the field. Police say the men are expected to face a judge before the end of the week. A 20-year-old has been charged with 11 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse after allegedly impregnating a 13-year-old girl. Prosecutors say Jakyle Barry began a sexual relationship with the girl in August 2021 when she was 12 years old. Prosecutors allege the relationship continued up to July 2022 and say the alleged victim is now 6 months pregnant. Barry was not required to enter pleas to the charges when he appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Shubasola Swain today. He has been remanded to the Department of Corrections until November 23rd. 2 security guards accused of pushing an American couple down the stairs of a nightclub in Harbor Island have been charged. 31-year-old Jordan Brown and 45-year-old Nathan Saunders are accused of causing grievous harm to Peter Munnick and Amber Munnick. Prosecutors say the charge stems from an incident at Daddy D's nightclub on August 3rd. Brown and Saunders pleaded not guilty at their arraignment before Acting Chief Magistrate Shubasola Swain. The accused were each granted $5,000 bail and are expected back in court on October 27th for trial. Months of bloodshed is being fueled by revenge killings. That's according to crime activist and recently hired crime consultant Dr. Carlos Reed, who spoke to our Italia Hall today. Here's her report.
Days after 2 men were gunned down less than 12 hours apart, anti-crime activist Dr. Carlos Reed says acts of retaliation are spurring on the deadly crimes.
We see where a lot of people that are out on bail are being killed, so we know that they're basically revenge killings.
Dr. Carlos Reed says crime is still a concern, and he and his team are working on several programs to help tackle this issue.
The Brotherhood is an organization where we bring fellas that come from the street. We all come together and we're forming what we call our gang. What we have done in this Bahamas, we have told people to come out of the gang but not give them something to go into. What the Brotherhood does is foster the same attributes that you could find in what we would call the criminal gangs. Now you could come into a positive gang and find those same attributes.
The activist says the way people are educated should change.
Things are not always going to go the way that you want it to go. You're not always going to have your way. This is why in a lot of domestic situations, we're seeing a woman leave a brother and say it over, but he can't handle it because he has not learned how to deal with failure.
And his advice to those living a life of crime:
think about the life of your parents. Think about the life of your little brothers and sisters, even your own little children. What kind of life are you preparing? What kind of stage that you setting? What kind of foundation that you setting for other people to walk into? Whatever bed you make, somebody else gonna have to lay on it.
Reporting for our news, I'm Italia Hall.
A former longtime BUT president is criticizing the current leadership, saying she has steered the teachers union down the wrong path. His stinging criticisms about Belinda Wilson and her response coming up in a moment. But first, another warm evening here in the capital. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is over in the Weather Center with your first look at temperatures. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Berthany. Welcome, everybody, for our first look at weather on this warm Monday evening. Temperatures very warm outside, 88 degrees outside the studios right now. Few clouds. Your winds are out of the west-southwest. It's bringing in that warm tropical air mass, 7 miles per hour, and your feels like temperature 95 degrees. Very, very warm on the outside. Satellite view across our area, we have an upper level trough to the north of the islands, triggering some showers and some thunderstorms, mainly across the northwest and portions of the central Bahamas, but most of the activity really is across Florida. But that upper level trough will hang around for at least another day or two. We will continue to see more showers and isolated thunderstorms across the area. High pressure at the surface, very weak, and that's going to continue to keep some boating conditions very nice out there for you boaters. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
When our news comes back, more teachers expected in classrooms across the country as a years-long teacher shortage is being tackled. Plus, find out the months-long wait Family Islanders are facing as water supply issues persist. And later, now on board the differently able hires to join the public service. The story when our news returns. Class will soon be in session for thousands of youngsters across the country, but the lack of teachers, especially in the Family Islands, has been cause for concern. Well, today, the Education Minister addressing the issue, saying they're seeking to alleviate the continued teacher shortage in critical areas. Jamila Mizik reports.
As students prepare to return to the classrooms on August 29th, will they have enough teachers? Well, today the Minister of Education, Glenys Martin, says they're working to address the teacher shortage in the country.
They're hiring many teachers in this upcoming season. So the hiring is well underway.
She admits that securing teachers has been a challenge.
The teacher shortages globally, so the Bahamas will not be excluded from that. We are subject to the same challenges. They're trying our utmost to actively and proactively recruit teachers to take office in the ensuing days, weeks, and months ahead.
The Education Minister toured a number of schools on New Providence that are currently receiving extensive repairs ahead of the new school year. Some of the schools receiving repairs include Government High School, as well as T.A. Thompson, C.H. Reeves, and A. Shonash Junior High Schools. Hannah Martin giving this update on work to date.
Some of the work is very big work, and I must say the contractors are bending over backwards. They're working day and night to meet the deadline 29th, and they have assured me that we can meet that deadline, but it requires, tremendous effort.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jamila Mizik.
The Education Minister also saying she's hopeful that her ministry and the BUT can resolve those outstanding issues soon. Earlier this month, BUT President Belinda Wilson gave the government a 7-day deadline to have the myriad of outstanding matters resolved. Since then, Wilson advised union members to prepare to take industrial action on August 29th, the first day back to school for public school students.
Well, I'm not directly involved in negotiations, so I don't know what the specifics are of the negotiations. But certainly I know that the nation is very interested and concerned for our young people to get back in school. So I'm trusting that this process will end in a way in which we can get our children back into school on the 29th of August, 2022.
The Bahamas Union of Teachers, under the leadership of Belinda Wilson, remains at odds with government as both sides try to wrap up an industrial agreement. Now, a former longtime BUT president is criticizing her leadership, saying she steered the union down the wrong path.
Don't worry about being punched drunk with power. Use that power to build the system, make the education system and the BUT better. They're larger than life, they're bigger than you. Then you'll get much more than your fair share.
Former Bahamas Union of Teachers President Kingsley Black not holding back as he says the current BUT president needs to be dual-focused. He says while the focus has been on the financial and other contractual benefits for teachers, there should also be a spotlight on improving education for the country.
It is only the country that is priority here. And I was happy. Those were the best moments I had, because we pretty much very adversarial. I just thought she took the union on the wrong path, and my attitude, since I train you, I would like to see you straighten up.
His comments come as the Bahamas Educators, Counselors, and Allied Workers Union was recently formed after hundreds of teachers split from the BUT. The union is locked in discussions with the Ministry of Education for its new industrial agreement. The union has threatened industrial action if certain demands aren't met by the opening of public schools later this month. Black says he believes the approach is wrong.
She, as the union president, she has to deal with those issues. But let's see some of that same energy in the press and at the negotiating table, where you and the ministry are knocking heads together trying to find a solution for a critical problem facing this country in education. You can't just go off on the deep end on getting the money side and improving terms and conditions.
When contacted, BUT President Belinda Wilson declined to comment. We will have more from our interview with Black, who discussed what multiple educators union mean for the sector and much more later this week.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, the Water and Sewage Corporation chief says Family Island supply issues are being addressed. Find out the months-long wait residents may now face.
Plus, coming up in sports for you tonight, our men's national basketball team giving the Kentucky Wildcats a bit of a run. We'll give you some details on that. And Jonquel Jones and the Connecticut Sun picked up a nice win. We'll give you details on that just ahead in sports.
And later, the 50 new differently abled men and women joining the public service. The story when our news returns. Our news, welcome back. The Water and Sewage Corporation says Family Island customers can expect relief in the next 3 to 4 months as water supply issues continue to persist. The island of Eleuthera has had some of the most chronic water shortages in recent days. Chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation, Sylvanus Petty, addressing the issue.
Right now we have a private company that we buy water from. The company is Suez. We have electrical issues, and then without electricity, you can't produce water. So it's a combination between BPL and Suez and trying to get everything coordinated properly. So when the power goes off, we have a group formed now that we know when the power goes off, that gives us time to store or cut back on water supply so that the water supply wouldn't be interrupted as much.
Ragged Islanders will finally welcome a nurse to the community 5 years after Hurricane Irma left the island uninhabitable. Deputy Prime Minister and area MP Chester Cooper says the island will get a nurse this September and estimates a clinic will be completed in about 12 months.
Your clinic is underway. We're going to finish that soon. You're going to have a nurse here by mid-September. I want to thank everyone who's associated with the Mission House for giving permission for us to use that facility. We've renovated it. We've got the furniture. We've identified your nurse, and we only need to get her here, and she'll be here during the month of September.
Our men's basketball team taking on Kentucky over the weekend. Meanwhile, Jonquel and the Suns stay hot with another win. Here's Marcellus Hall.
All right, thanks, Berthany. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. University of Kentucky wrapping up a 4-game set yesterday over at the Baha basketball courts. They played against our Bahamas national team, and it was all part of the Bahamas Summer of Thunder initiative held by the Bahamas Basketball Federation. Let's take a quick look and see how the Bahamas did. Members of our men's national basketball team in action yesterday over at Baha facing off against the University of Kentucky. Now, the Wildcats had already played 3 games so far during the Summer of Thunder, all of which they had won by a wide margin. Yesterday, the Bahamas hoping to give them a bit more of a run, and they would do exactly that. It would actually be a 1-point differential at the half, by far the closest game Kentucky had had to this point. They would, however, pull away down the stretch. Final score ends up being 98-74, again holding Kentucky under the 100-point margin. That had been the first time that had been done. Leading the way for the Bahamas was Kenton Smith. He had 18 points to lead the way. He was followed by Jerron Keno Burrows, who had 16 points. And then also in double figures was Dominic Bridgewater. Afterwards, head coach of the Bahamas national team on that day, Moses Johnson, talking about the game and what they were hoping to accomplish.
All in all, I think the team played well. It was important for me to get those young guys in at the end because you have scouts, you have other teams here, you have coaches here that can see these guys and possibly give them a scholarship. So it was important for me to get them involved and give them an opportunity to show their talent.
All right. Meanwhile, Jonquel Jones and the Connecticut Sun winding down the regular season. They were in action yesterday once again as they continued their run throughout the course of the year. Taking a look at how things went down, Sun in action going up against the Minnesota Lynx. And Connecticut, not being gracious hosts, they would win at home. 90-83 ends up being your final score. Jonquel, in case you're wondering about her stats, she would play limited minutes in this one. Finishes up with 21 minutes played, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 2 blocks in the contest as Connecticut now continues to get themselves back on the winning track. Their next game will come your way on Thursday when they host, once again, the Dallas Wings. And that is your look at sports here on this Monday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Berthany.
Still ahead on our news tonight, results-based leadership, how a CBL training program is setting out to help local leaders lead through critical times. Plus, hot and sunny conditions expected this week. Greg is back in the Weather Center forecasting quiet activity in the tropics. And later, you don't want to miss the story of 50 new differently abled hires joining the public service. That's coming up when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. 50 differently abled hires now have the chance to give back to their communities after joining the public service. We'll tell you more about their onboarding process in a moment. But first, the Cable Bahamas group of companies is partnering with Results-Based Leadership to host the Art of Leadership training program. Human Resources and Training Consultant Beverly Saunders says the 2-day session is geared towards teaching leaders of local organizations what they need to know in order to lead their companies through critical times. Jamila Mizik has the story.
The Bahamas is really poised to become a global entity within itself.
The Human Resources and Training Consultant says the target audience includes Bahamian companies that have succession plans in place for senior leaders. It also focuses on high-potential employees capable of stepping into leadership roles in the near future.
But we have to make sure they're also ready in the way of being accountable, of being effective, of being efficient, of having the right mindsets that drive behaviors in the organization. So we're looking at how do we manage from the outside in.
CBL Group Vice President of Human Resources Ed Duncombe explains the program will allow leaders to work with their peers and learn from each other.
They'll be using scientific research, which has been founded from RBL, and they are the world experts. And so it's not just theory. They'll be going back into the workplaces and applying practical applications speaking with one another, bouncing ideas off of one another, and then coming back to see how they can apply this learning.
The sessions begin August 17th and 18th at Balmoral Club. Registration is now open, however, seating is limited.
Right now, you can go to any one of the social media pages, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Our link is going to be placed also on the website and on these locations. Click on the link and they can register for the program.
Thanks, Jamila. That was our Jamila Mizik reporting. Mostly sunny skies and hot temperatures expected across the country this week. Greg is back in the Weather Center with our extended outlook.
Again, Berthany, welcome back everybody for our second look at weather. Across our area, an upper level trough that's triggering some showers and isolated thunderstorms. There's a surface boundary attached to that, a frontal boundary actually, a late season one. Low pressure to the north of that will keep that frontal boundary across areas, so we're looking for more showers and thunderstorms across the northwest and portions of the central Bahamas. But at the surface, high pressure ridge in control, and that's continuing to keep us, well, our winds very light. So boating conditions over the next couple of days will be very nice, but the hot temperatures will continue. Saharan dust still out there in the open Atlantic, keeping most of the tropical activity at bay. National Hurricane Center, though, is watching an area just to the south of Bermuda for a 10% chance for formation over the next couple of days, but the remainder of the tropics will be quiet and tropical cyclone formation not expected through the next 5 days. Boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be variable at 5 to 10 knots, seas running 1 to 3 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 11:28 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast over the next seven days, quiet weather, high pressure will remain in charge. We will continue to enjoy those light winds, and believe it or not, those temperatures will be in the low to mid 90s with the feels like temperature in triple digits. That's your look at weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody.
It has been 4 weeks since the State Minister for the Public Service, Pia Glover Rule, announced the rollout of the Public Service Professional Engagement Program, an initiative to hire more differently abled Bahamians in the public service. In our final story tonight, Marlena Leonard shares more of the onboarding process.
Minister of State for the Public Service Pia Glover-Roll says applications for the Public Service Professional Engagement Program, also known as PSPEP, have been rolling in.
We would have already begun the onboarding process for persons that are differently able, looking where we will be placing them within the public sector, and even some private sector employers have contacted us and said they would be interested in taking them on. It's going very well. We ended up taking a lot more persons that we initially bargained for, but that is great.
Glover-Roll tells us that around 50 new hires have been approved as a result of the initiative, some with highly qualified backgrounds.
We have actually encountered a number of our differently abled applicants who are extremely well qualified, and so we're looking forward to giving them opportunities to develop a career in the public service.
Glover-Roll shares her hopes for the initiative.
The ability for us to open this door of opportunity for persons who continually say that they did not have an opportunity prior is what makes it such a beautiful thing, and we're looking forward to following their journey through the public service.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Berthany McDermott. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.